Hi there. Now, in a previous episode, actually, we have talked about consistency being more significant than intensity. So it's not about the size of your goals, really. That big goal, that big project. It's about consistency, doing the little things. But while you're doing little things, it might be difficult to see any kind of change. In fact, you can't see any change. You start to wonder if what you're doing is making any kind of difference. Is that sounding familiar? So, in this episode, we discuss how to stay motivated when you're not seeing results. Now, you've been showing up, you know, you've been doing the work, but the scale hasn't moved. The followers haven't come, the bank balance hasn't changed, and you're asking yourself, why am I even doing this? This stage is where most people quit, I tell you. Not because it's too hard, but because it's too quiet. You can't see any changes. Research shows, that most transformation happens beneath the surface. In the beginning, progress is slow. Because your brain, body, and behavior are still rewiring. That's what's going on behind the scenes. Your brain is getting used to the new routine. Your body is getting used to the new routine. And even the behavior. You're getting used to the behavior. The gym isn't just changing your body. It's building consistency. You need those reps consistently before. You need to do them little by little, consistently. Do not skip days, because skipping days means that you probably have to go back and start again. But just keep building. Like I said earlier in an earlier video, brick by brick, chip by chip. What about the early business losses? What they are doing in actual fact is that they are buying your experience. If you quit during the invisible stage, you will never reach the visible rewards. So, my charge for you today is you don't quit at the early stage or at the early stages. You keep going. I like to give real life examples just to buttress the point. Let's take a globally known face and name. I'm sure you've heard of the guy called Steve Harvey. Yeah. All right, let's take his story. One of the most recognized comedians is Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey. He's an author. He hosts. You know, he hosts in one of the popular shows. I think his most popular show would be that game show. I think if you remember the name, please say it in the comments. I can't remember the name now. I would remember. Family Feud. Yes, that's the popular one of the. Everybody has been on the show, and there's even versions of it in Nigeria, in Ghana, South Africa, all around the world. And he, they all follow the blueprint of the Family Feud. It's a very successful show. And then he has other shows. Steve Harvey is a very popular man, But his journey wasn't always like that. His journey is actually quite brutal. In the early 90s, Steve had a dream to become a comedian, but he had no connections. He had no big breaks. He was homeless for a period of 3 years. He was sleeping in his car. Imagine, Steve sleeping in his car. He was washing up in gas stations. That's where he was taking his bath and all of that. And he was borrowing money to get to shows. He had no TV. There was no TV recognition. There was no fame. You know, there were no cheering crowds that like he's used to today. All he had was rejection, empty shows, and silence. But there was one thing that Steve kept doing. He kept showing up. He believed that the silence didn't mean failure. It meant foundation. Sure enough, he had his first big break. And his first big break was an appearance in a show called the Apollo. And everything changed for him. Today, Steve is worth over $200 million. That you say, wow, that's a lot of money. There's something he always says. The dream is real. The dream is free. But the hustle is sold separately. The real magic happens in the unseen moments, when nobody has noticed you. Let's take another real life example. The bamboo tree. Is it the oak tree now? I think it's the oak tree. When you plant an oak, the first 20 years you don't see anything. It's like you didn't plant anything. But all of a sudden, in a couple of weeks, it grows so tall and so big, like 20 feet high, in a matter of weeks. And you keep wondering, where did this monstrosity come from? The truth of the matter is that there are roots deep down that you cannot see. And those roots were working before it sprouted. So when you have roots in the ground, don't worry. It's a law. You're going to grow, you're going to sprout. So it's a process, and you have to respect the process. You have to trust the process. So let's give some practical advice for you to stay motivated. Now, I want you, when you're setting your goals now, set identity-based goals. Don't say, I want 1,000 subscribers, for instance. You can say, I'm the kind of person who shows up every week, no matter what. That's an identity-based goal. I am the sort of person who shows up every week, no matter what. Another thing, I want you to track your effort, not outcome. It's not about outcome, it's about the effort that you put in. Because if you are living your day looking out for outcomes, you might be disappointed, because everything is a process. So the outcomes may not be favorable right now, but just trust the process. Keep going. Log your habits, your uploads, your writings, your workouts. Let the data remind you that you're showing up. So we're talking about the practical things that I'm giving you practical advice now. So track like I said, set identity. The very first one I said is set identity-based goals. That's number one. Number two is track your effort, not outcome. And then number three, you celebrate micro wins. Every win is a win. Like I said in the previous episode, to be consistent, just do something little every day and celebrate what you've done. Be proud of it. If you're writing a book, write a paragraph today, and then another paragraph tomorrow, and then another paragraph next tomorrow. You are moving, you're building momentum. and be proud of it. You're not where you want to be, but you're not where you used to be. While you're working out, do one more rep. If you're uploading a video, upload just one more video. You are building something bigger in the process, trust me. Another thing you can do is have quiet vision. Not every dream needs noise. You don't need to blow up the vision or tell everybody. You can have it, be quiet about it. Some of the most powerful moves, they happen in silence. So let's lead with those practical steps that you can take. Number one, set identity-based goals. Number two, track your effort, not the outcome. Number three, celebrate small wins, celebrate micro wins. And then number four, have a quiet vision. Don't be too loud about it. Just be quiet about it. Motivation fades when we focus only on results, but it stays alive when we remember that work is going on, even when you can't see it yet. Now, if this episode spoke to you, let me know in the comments. Let us have that banter. And I'll see you in the next video.